That's interesting.
That's why they so quick to snatch out uterus and chop off breasts. They call that desecration of the holy places. Each one of the women, when they self-realize, is a holy place. She is an entire temple dedicated to creation itself.
Churches are laid out as a woman's holy place, when you coming down the aisle or going into the, so yeah,
And
they have
Dr. Bean tell it like this. She said, heaven is between the legs of the black woman. That's what Dr. Bean tell you, because ain't nobody get in to earth without going through the portal of life.
Sure.
They can make many trans testicles as they want to. They can get them artificial everything. But when that womb of a natural born woman is going to naturally produce what they science is trying to reproduce.
Speaking of which, I just saw, thank you, Sister Fariel L. I know she's in the chat. She turned me on to yesterday to an season 10 of American Horror Story on Hulu. And so I looked at the last 4 episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think I shared just a little teeny bit with you. But in that, since you mentioned that, in that they have gone so far, they have this this so-called experimentation, because they were trying to put hybrids on the earth that were part alien and part human and replace all the humans.
We all hybrids.
But this is what this thing, but they were impregnating men as well as women. So men their stomachs were growing in. So the one guy was like, how is this thing going to come out? And basically it was cesarean. They cut the stomach open.
Okay, now what that's telling you is it's a parasite.
Well, it came out like the alien movie with the thing that. So.
It's a parasite. Men don't have a uterus. Men can't naturally have children and carry a baby to gestate.
Well,
but a parasite can grow under your skin without distinguishing your gender.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is look up bot flies, and it'll be in men and women, dogs and cats. It's a parasite.
Bot flies.
B-O-T, bot fly.
Oh, bot fly. Okay.
Yep. If you look them up on YouTube, you'll see them pull the parasite out, and they be in cats, they be in dogs, they be in people. But it's a fly lays egg under the skin, and it grows under the skin, and it becomes a huge node. They got to pull it out or let it mature and fly out on its own. But by the end, it be cause you so many problems that you probably won't make it through the body's attempt to discard the bot fly.
And that's funny. Not strange. It's called a bot fly because almost you think of robots or something that's not human or whatever. But yeah, but they're and that for those of you who have not seen that, America again, I guess thank you, Sister Feria L. But that episode, season 10, episodes 7, 8, and 9, they're really, I was telling you, dropping real historical information. It's Eisenhower, who was his vice president? I think it was Nixon. After JFK is in it, and the other one, LBJ, Marilyn Monroe, all the stuff we saw happen, and it's tied in with some really wild stuff. You just got to see it to fathom it. But we know that they put truth out in movies. They mix it with fiction, but it's a lot of truth in there, and they'll sometimes make things seem so incredulous. And you're like, oh, that was just you need to look at it with a more critical eye, because there are, it's a karmic thing for them. Like we told them, they may think it's entertainment, but we told them. We don't have to tell them that we're telling them. We put it in movies. We are the entertainment industry. And that's what I was trying to say. All these things, these distractions, looking at shows and series, it's always been tied, to mind control.
Yeah, well, they did a movie in the 50s about the CIA infiltrating the news media. I'm not sure if it was the Maltese Falcon or another movie, but it's a famous movie from the 50s, and it's about they learned it from Operation Paperclip. It was a Hitler propaganda technique because they didn't know how to use media for propaganda at that time. That's why when you go back and you look at old clips of people talking in lectures from the 50s, they telling you the flat out truth. Whereas you listen to them in the 70s and the 60s, now they starting to tell you bald-faced lies as if you're too stupid to see through it.
Many were. Many were. Many were. Yeah, many were. Are you up for, before we close, are you up for some questions? Because there have been questions that, I don't know if you were looking at the chat, but there were some questions that popped up. I know there was one question that was up a couple times asking you to explain further about who Big Mama is. And when I hear you say Big Mama, it seems like you're calling Big Mama in the etheric realm is sort of like Gaia, or like you say, the mother of everything, and then Big Mama, like everybody has a Big Mama, you know.
So everybody's Big Mama is a replica of Prime Creator.
Okay.
Right? We all know her because she flat out tell you what she feels. She don't care. Fuck your feelings. I'm gonna tell you, you need to go wash your stinking ass. Right? So I don't care if you get your feelings hurt. I shouldn't have never had to tell you. Right? Or Big Mama say, that's not how you raise that child. If you raise that child that way, you're gonna have a predator when you get older. Right? Big Mama.
Right.
The one take her shoe off and throw it across the room and bop you upside your head when you ain't listening. Big Mama. Mm-hmm. She behaves that way because she's the embodiment in the physical form of Prime Creator, who be telling you what's right, and don't have no regard for your emotions, because your emotions is only your navigation system. You ain't supposed to live in your emotions. You're supposed to read them. They telling you something. Are they in context or are they not in context? Right? So Big Mom, Joe, use certain kind of ways to move your emotions into the right position. Right? Are you coachable? Big Mama gonna let you know if you're coachable, because she gonna keep telling you what to do in such a rude manner. If you take it personal, you're gonna feel some type of way. But if you realize her character, she ain't gonna never tell you nothing that's gonna hurt you. Everything she tell you, if you listen to her, is gonna be for your betterment and your upliftment, and for you to raise the children in a better way than you was raised. It might have took her grandkids to find out where she made her mistakes as a parent. Mm-hmm. Now she can tell you, I did that when y'all was growing up, but y'all can't do that with this generation because it's not required. It's outdated now. Right? Because I've seen this happen over the years, and this is where we at now. So we, instead of teaching them sports all the time, we need to buckle down academically. Mm-hmm. Right? Big Mama tell you the wise things. And when you run across them, you know them, because everything they say be so spot on, you just don't like the way she said it. But that ain't her business for you to like it. Her business is to tell you the truth. Right. Now, some Big Mamas, they call mud deer. Mud deer is just as mean, but she talks to you a little nicer than Big Mama. That's the only difference. Because she grew up from a priestess stock, she understands the nature of people from a different angle than the one that grew up as the heir to the throne, who have to be mean to keep the riffraff away. Right? So when you hear the youth talking about, I don't want to go over Big Mama house, them the ones that's going to be errant. You already know. Why you don't want to go to Big Mama house? Because she going to make me be still. You got to learn how to be still when it's time to be still, and move when it's time to move. Big Mama know nobody's not teaching you that, baby, so she has to teach it to you. That's why she tell you to sit down and be still, while she letting the rest of the kids play, because you the one need to learn how to sit down and be still before you step your ass in some shit you can't get out of. You know? We don't know how to read our women no more because they took that out of us. Now we got to be macho. We got to give orders all day. We drill sergeants in the house for the system. And don't let me bring up domestic violence, which I call it a hostage situation disguised as a love affair. She want to leave, but she can't leave because if she try to leave, he gonna beat her ass. That's a hostage.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of women are stuck in that. in that situation. I just saw something play out over the last couple of weeks. With the nature boy, and not one but a whole gaggle of women down, who were following that kind of abuse. And I really,
look up Marquette Prison in upstate Michigan in the UP. That used to be a castle. They turned it into a prison.
Wow.
I think San Quentin, there's a couple of them in Pennsylvania that they turned into prisons. Right. Then there's castles that's been vacant. They got caretakers in them, but we left the castles to go fight the war.
And weren't there some of these, like, say, the middle class at that time was probably the upper class of this time, and they had a lot of their buildings or homes were turned into like orphanages and insane asylums, and they were bringing these children. Where did those little modern European Albion children on them trains come from, that they were taking off to places and putting them in these orphanages? Where did they come from?
From priests in the Catholic Church raping nuns in Europe, and the children's mothers was nuns and wasn't supposed to have children. So when we needed to put pale faces in institutions to get the secrets, and we sent for the people that kicked them out of Europe to send who you can. Well, they brought a lot of orphans with them, because the patron saint of the land is the patron saint of orphans as well, and widows. Right? So our clans was taking orphans in from all over the world, not just from Europe. See, they don't tell you about the Asian ones. And the Asian ones we made pacts with. That's why you have people that look like us with Lee in their name. Verdi Lee, Bobby Lee, Henry Lee, Arthur Lee, Jackie Lee. That's because that's the agreement with them to use their conjure to help break free from the oppressors. So they came with something called the Sun Wukong key. The Sun Wukong key is also called the Congo key. There's a Congo basin on every major landmass. The Congo key is also called the primate key, or the master key. It was the key of Enki, the rulership key of the earth, on the Y chromosome lineage. The structure was the women was the lawgivers, the men was the enforcers of the law. Wow. And so in order to be the enforcer of the law, you had to have the Congo key.
And what, the master key. What, was that knowledge, or was that something?
It's a form of knowledge.
Okay.
It's a form of knowledge. It's how all of the clans around the world was all practicing under the same ancient practices, but now we in modern times, and we need to get back to the ancient practices to overthrow the modern system that has ran amok and led us astray.
So the master, those who had like the master key system, was that like from like, was it, the guy was named Charles Hanel? Was that having taken some ancient knowledge from us and creating what he called the master key system?
So when anybody that put out a book that say master key on it is coming out of a Masonic lodge.
Okay.
They have codes in those books. And the only way to know what the code is to read the book.
Yeah, the master key system. Yeah. I was wondering if they had gotten that from us, though. Was it something that was
all that's our shit.
Okay.
The Masonic Lodge used to be our rites of passage program for the royal families of the earth.
Wow.
But when they infiltrated the lodge, they used it to oppress us.
They turned our own knowledge against us by keeping it from us, learning it, and then, use. Okay.
Yeah. So they keep us ignorant while they know what's going on. That's what they call in the lodge the fiat lux.
Fiat lux, L-U-X?
Yeah. That means the decree of light. We know it as the biblical term, let there be light. And the light is the Promethean flame. And you know the story of Prometheus, who stole the flame from heaven and imparted it onto man. That's wisdom.
Right.
Because what he's talking about, when he climbed up to the heavens, it was the rise of the Kundalini energy and the sacred secretion. And once you become aware, you impart the knowledge onto the people who's willing to receive it.
So here's a question: what were we doing before 1492, and how did we dress? Do you know?
When you see those, we wore a lot of bison leather was our standard, and we also use cotton. They talk about the cotton gin that we've been using cotton gins for thousands of years, so I don't know where they get that shit from. There's some plantation owner created the cotton gin. Right. That's something that our people was using long before they came over here. Right. So our clothes was cotton, and those in the north in the colder climates use furs and pelts for clothes.
Now I've seen pictures where I've seen pictures of giant women, melanated women, standing over small, I guess regular size, non-melanated women, as if they, and that these and perfectly proportioned, but big, and we were told that at the time back then, that I don't know how true this is, that the Shirley Temple curls were created by Moorish or women, and would put them on the Albion women's hair that were in their control, and it was a sign that they had, I think if I'm correct, that they were no longer like prostitute. You know how they had them in the working in the brothels or whatever, and they would put the Shirley Temple curls in their hair, show them how to dress and all this stuff. But the women were giants. I mean, like, you've seen pictures of Queen Khalifa, and she was a giant. Can you talk about, because you see some of those buildings from the World's Fair we're talking about, the doors were massive. Why were the doors that big?
Before the grid flipped, the people grew much, much bigger because, so our synthesis of oxygen right now is a single oxygen molecule, O1. A single molecule, just oxygen. But before the grid flip, excuse me, the upper atmosphere or the ozone layer, it was down here on the surface of the earth, meaning the air was thicker with oxygen. Mm-hmm. And it made us grow to a different height than we do now. So being 7 foot tall was not a far stretch back
then. And so that's are some of the, I know they found lots of graves with giant remains. They call them giant remains, large skulls.
Yeah, a lot of them are Anunnaki too, because they pretty tall.
Anunnaki. Yeah. Now those are okay. So when were they here?
Oh, they've been back and forth for millions of years. But they used to didn't get involved in what was going on Earth until they decided to take over.
That's why that movie or that series I told you on Hulu, that because it has Valiant Thor in it and everything, and we heard all about that stuff, and I'm like, wow, they put this in that series, in episode season 10, episode 7, 8, 9. It's just they're just filling it all out. And the interesting part, they'll see it. I won't even tell what that is, because let them go look at it. I don't want to be a spoiler, but you gotta look at it. Again, I keep saying thank you to Sister Ferry LL, because she was the one who told me about it. And I said, I'll take a couple of days and look at it. I watched like about 40 minutes each. I watched all 4 of them. I was like, I couldn't stop watching it because I already knew about a lot of this stuff from the so-called truther community. And here it is right here on this thing. But if you're thinking about American Horror Story, I would be thinking about ghosts and goblins, And speaking of, werewolves, tell us about vampires versus werewolves, and when you told me about us being the werewolves.
Right. So the vampires is the ones who suck our blood. So those were the ones using the Babylonian money magic and blood rite rituals to subjugate us. Well, we was the ones fighting them. And some of our clans wore wolf pelts. So we were the ones that wear the wolves, and they was the ones sucking the blood.
So the true, what we see in the movie type,
exaggeration.
Is an exaggeration. These are just men wearing wolf pelts when they had to go against these vampires, and they've depicted it, you know, in movies, you know.
Right. So the ones that call vampires is the ones who own slaughterhouses now for bloodletting rituals.
That's meat where they kill the meat.
We didn't do that on this land. Right? That was prohibited on this land. No mass slaughter of any animals on this land for any purpose. That's why every family had a family farm. Even if you lived in the city, you went out to the farm to go get your fresh meats. Right?